Hello, I'm Rabbi Sarah Brandis, and welcome to Awakened Bodies Mindful Lunch. One of the most important commitments that you take on when you decide to journey with us on a 40-day seasonal cleanse is the commitment to eating mindfully. When we endeavor to walk in the awakened body, noticing, activating as much as possible our five senses in all moments, with the intent of coming into deep contact with our lives and the world. When we do that, what we find is that the easiest access we have to simple pleasures is through eating. The our systems for nourishment and for pleasure are deeply intertwined, separate from our body's ability to identify hunger and the need for nutrients and calories. Our pleasure system is interlinked with our digestive system, and our body has the ability to trigger our dopamine reward system simply through eating. Eating is meant to be a simple pleasure. Now, of course, for many of us, eating can be fraught, especially if we have a history of eating disorders. And that is something that if you're journeying with us at Awakened Body, you should reach out and you should seek coaching specifically around that. But on the simplest level, good food is meant to be wholesome for body, mind, and spirit. And the missing link there is often just our paying attention. So that's what we're going to do right now. All we are here to do in this video, it's going to be a little bit more than 20 minutes. All that we're here to do is eat a meal. I am midway through my spring cleanse. And for me, one of the most important commitments of cleansing is the act of self-care that is required in preparing a wholesome midday cooked meal. At Awakened Body, we make use of the Clean program, which coaches us to consume liquids morning and night, and to put our hearty, cooked meal at the midpoint of the day. Now, I know in the normal flow of my daily life, eating a wholesome cooked meal in the middle of the day isn't usually my pace. Usually in the middle of the day, my full focus is on work, and I might eat in a way that can be called the very opposite of mindful while I'm doing 100 other things or along the way, and therefore I miss out on the simple pleasure of eating. Eating is the best way to connect my body with the natural world from which it originates, to experience pleasure, to pause, and what's more, the more I can do that, the more I can bring the fullness of my attention to my food as I eat, the more I support my body in wholesome digestion and absorbing of nutrients. So that is what we are here to do. So today I'll show you, I've prepared a beautiful meal off of the Elimination Diet and Clean. So this is whole grain brown rice, which I steamed in just a little bit of miso. A little bit of small quantities of miso are permitted, especially if you know that you don't have a soy sensitivity, with some local acorn squash, garlic shoots, and bok choy that I grew in my garden. And that I grew some of this food, that I've been tending it, that I've been sharing my water with it as I go about my day, and that I just was able to break it, pluck it straight from my garden and put it on my plate. That is the essence of a 40-day seasonal cleanse. It's about coming into alignment with the simple fact that we are creatures of the earth, and that our wellness, our vitality, our thriving is an extension of our just walking here, walking humbly on the earth. And there's also some white fish that's sauteed in here. So because this is a stir fry with lots of different ingredients sourced in lots of different places, I'm going to make the same blessing that I've been making every morning on my first glass of water. It is the catch-all blessing, and you have it in the blessing packet. And I'm gonna say it to have all of this in mind. Now, if you really want to be deepening into your mindful eating practice, you could go bite by bite, making the blessing for the fruit of the earth, on the bok choy, on the acorn squash. Each in making what we're going to say in a minute, shehakol, the catch-all blessing on the fish. You could go ingredient by ingredient, but for today I'm going to say one blessing. And once I do, I'm just going to eat my meal. And I encourage you to put this video on anytime you need some encouragement, to simply take your time, sit and eat mindfully. I'll add some nice music to the background to support you a little bit. But the intent here is that for the duration of the meal, I'm going to do nothing other than enjoy my food. I'm going to taste it. I'm going to notice the textures. I'm going to notice the smell. I'm going to chew, savor, swallow. And in that way, I'm going to set up the habit of satisfaction. In the Jewish wisdom tradition, eating is the way we practice feeling satisfied. This is a posture that has become so rare in our fast-paced 21st century world, where we are constantly wanting more. When we eat, and we eat mindfully, then we have the capacity to identify fullness and to reach a point of saying, my needs are met. I have a roof over my head. I am neither freezing nor dying of heat exhaustion. I have a full belly. I am blessed. I have enough. I am satisfied. And that sense of satisfaction is the essence of the blessing I'll make at the end of my meal. So I hope you too are sitting with a wholesome meal, and let's begin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shakol nihye bidvaro. All right. So, because I've been giving the fullness of my attention to the experience of eating, I've only finished about half of my food, but I can tell that my stomach feels full, and at the very least, it wants to rest before I continue. So, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just stay here quietly for about 5 minutes. It's a wonderful time to insert a midday pause. And then there's a possibility that I'll continue with a little bit more of my meal, or I will save it for tomorrow. Because I'm on day 9 of my cleanse, I can tell you that the sweetness of the acorn squash was almost overwhelming. And that's one of the deep joys of eating in this intentional way and according to the guidance in the Clean program, that the flavors of food just return to their vibrancy as we move away from artificial additives and sweeteners and chemicals and go back to just eating directly of the earth. You might have been wondering, that was homemade kombucha that I was drinking, and maybe I'll do another Awakened Body video on the benefits of kombucha as a source of probiotics. For now, I'm going to end with the blessing that indicates my satisfaction after this meal. So, the instruction in the book of Deuteronomy is that as human beings, we are meant to eat, bless, and be satisfied. That is the recipe. That is that is the path of she who walks in the awakened body. So, all of our concluding blessings in the Jewish tradition are about expressing satisfaction, but I especially love this one that is paired with the opening blessing that I made at the beginning of my meal. In this blessing, this closing blessing, I'm going to affirm that God, who is source of all, made all of creation lacking, that it is part of the grand design that I experience hunger. Why? So that I could be nourished by the world, and in that way experience Source as giver of life. Isn't that beautiful? So it goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei nefashot rabot וחסרונן על כל מה שבראת, לחיות בהם נפש כל חי, ברוך חיי העולמים. Blessed is the eternal source of life, for having given me this incredible bounty, of which I got to take a small part in growing in my home garden. Blessings on your way.